Good morning, everybody. Today is Tuesday, May 24th. This is Red Dot interview number 4. I'm here with Tom Barbour.
Okay, let's see. I am a being on this planet who is going through there is an evolution that occurs with the soul when it can no longer identify with the roles it has played in the past. When it no longer has that box to sit in. Instead, it is amorphous and it becomes released in the world, and it doesn't have a place, but it goes everywhere. And that's where I'm finally discovering who I am. Because who I am has never really been anything except in relation to something else. And now I don't have something else to relate that to. So I have become nothing. And I'm trying to exist in something. And it is a hard lesson to not have anything to call your own. The world has no place for that mindset, that philosophy that doesn't have an outline. The stick figure has fallen apart. And everything that I've done in my life has fallen away. And I didn't know this was going to be the result of what I went through for 20 years in my spiritual journey. But I have no other way to be now. It is not a choice. My evolution is no longer under my control. It is under the control of the evolution itself. So at this point in time, I come here to partake of what life is without me in it.
So, the first question I have for you, Tom, is why is the red dot important?
The red dot is important because it is a manifestation of the force of the divine Shakti. And it is a temple disguised as a restaurant. And when people enter the restaurant thinking that they're hungry for food, their soul becomes hungry. They start to feel that there is something that can nourish them in a deeper way than food ever could when they enter the restaurant. There is a relaxed atmosphere, there's no pressure, there's no religious overtones, but they feel this awakening inside of themselves, both to the food and to the people who are there, who are expressing and manifesting love with everything that they do. And in this, a person has the complete experience of their soul and their body being fed, being nourished, being able to grow. And it is a enlivening experience, which is why everyone who comes there says it's the best food they've ever tasted, the best service they've ever had, is because their inner self is feeling the transformation. People rarely come in contact with individuals who are practicing selfless service. You know, they think of Mother Teresa, they think of these saints, but what they forget is that the people who serve them every day are having the opportunity to give selfless service, but they're generally not in a place that promotes that. It's generally for a profit. It's generally for a corporate purpose. It's generally for some more mundane thing. They're still giving, but the purpose itself has been corrupted. But here at the Red Dot, people are in the spiritual life, and all they want to do is express that through their actions. And their actions are service, humility, love, and contemplation. So when people enter the restaurant, they have the full experience, not a corrupted experience.
The red dot is a place that serves love, and we do that through food.
The experience of being fed is like so primal in the human being, to receive food from someone else, to be given a meal is like, it is how you welcome people. It's how you bring the community together. Everyone has, when there's food on the table, there is the possibility of abundance. People can feel that fullness in coming, and they're looking forward to a great experience of a meal, and good company, and to just walk into that in a normal restaurant is very difficult, because usually everybody's on a different things going on here, things going on there, people running in and out, and there's no actual experience except for when they want to take your order and when they want to give you the check and pick up your plates. There's no interaction.
Yeah.
And instead, the Red Dot provides like that experience of being in your own kitchen, of being in your own living room with your family, and having that experience with strangers who are suddenly your friends. And there's nothing more fantastic than to suddenly feel like you have friends where you didn't know you had them.
And I think the way you put it was so beautifully is like, the body is just part of what's being fed here. And that would be the same thing when you walk into your mother's kitchen.
Right.
She's feeding you with love, and that's what, Simranji has put into this place, and we're all just blessed to be here trying to manifest that vision.
Yes. And I think the manifestation of the practice that everyone involved with the Red Dot is going through, that it is not just a training to run a restaurant.
Yeah.
What we're manifesting is the divine spirit within. And how that can come into the material world is always a mystery. How do you transform this experience of divine oneness into a function which is feeding people? Because what are you really feeding people? You're feeding them your spirit. And so every time someone comes in contact with someone who is divinely inspired, they become inspired also. They become hungry for that experience.
We have people come in and they'll sit there for like 4 or 5 hours. I've never seen another restaurant where people sit there and they're not doing anything. They're just sitting. And I think they're just sitting with themselves, because you can feel so yourself. You can feel home in a way that you can't,
Feel
or I
home.
couldn't. I never felt that in my home, And it's such a remarkable thing.
It is truly remarkable. And that's what makes the Red Dot so unique. And to be able to go into a remote, rural area like this and find, number one, a vegetarian restaurant that obviously is catering to its own tastes rather than to the tastes of the neighborhood, and then to discover that people want that they start showing up in large numbers and having wonderful experiences, and their entire, it's just so unique to have that experience in such a remote place. It's not common in the civilized world.
No, it's not.
I mean, I've been to vegetarian restaurants, and they're not the same. Okay, there is a spirit there that they're trying to raise the mental and physical consciousness of how you relate to food and how to improve your health and do these things, but they're not really aimed at the spiritual level, the internal level of how does the being grow? What is feeding the being? We're feeding our body, we feed our minds, we feed our hearts, but what is feeding that spiritual nature within us that has no way of expressing itself, has no way of translating what it is to the outside world? And when someone finds that translation occurring, it's generally through love. There are times when the being within struggles to come out and wants to be a part of this world. It wants to experience itself in terms of the human experience. And how can it do that? One, you go to an ashram, you find a guru, you sit at their feet, you experience, that sense of self-discovery, and finally There is some release from the anxieties of life because you realize you're an eternal being. But in normal everyday life, there are all these beings walking around thinking that they don't have any way to express themselves, no way to come into the world. And so any gateway that can be found is a miracle. And the red dot, because of its uniqueness of being a temple disguised as a restaurant, allows people to have that experience unexpectedly.
What is it to you about, I know you love our soups and you always have the bread, but what is it about the actual experience of eating the food? Like, what do you experience? What do you feel?
Well, there's a depth. There's a depth in everything that I've eaten there. The flavors are complex. They're built from a base and then raised and raised. Everything is cooked fresh. So there's a fresh feel to all the spices and the food. And it always looks beautiful. The arrangement of the colors, the cutting of the various fruits and vegetables is always done with a consciousness that allows it to express its most beautiful nature, besides just being delicious.
It's an amazing creative place, and I think that is, you talk about the embodiment of the divine. It's the creative embodiment of the divine in so many different ways.
It definitely is a multi-dimensional canvas for the expression of the soul, through restaurant, food, service, all the little, jellies and chutneys and power bars and everything else. They're always, wow, what's that? What's that? There's a million little things to see. And I know that the nature of the divine is to always evolve into something new, the newness of what can be, and not just to stay in the way things always are. So there is that need to evolve. Like you said, evolution is what's going on here, and it is a spiritual evolution. And it is expressed through the physical, but its real intent is to change your spiritual awareness.
Yes. And I think it's really interesting. I'm thinking about all the children that come into the restaurant.
The kids go crazy.
Yeah. I've never been in a restaurant that's it's like kid friendly. And we do have kids, like they'll go crazy,
Yeah.
But you don't ever have that reaction that you have at other restaurants. Right. It's like, oh my God, this kid is making so much noise, making a mess. Instead, it's just like such a joy, and it almost brings you to that childlike place within yourself.
Because you're already feeling it.
Yeah.
You're feeling it yourself when you walk in. The kids are just expressing it.
Yes.
They're going, hey, this is fun. I want to go to that corner or that corner. I want to run behind those curtains. I want to do twisty twirls and wear everything. And the parents are actually digging it because they're going, that's how this place makes me feel. Like I'm having fun here. This is just fun to be here. You don't have to do anything. You just have to feel it. And the kids are the expression of what people are experiencing, which is happiness. The inner feeling of my inner being is being, I can be that. I can set that free. I can show myself to be who I really am. This is good. This is good. Now I think I'd like to have some food too.